How should Arthur Smith approach his new position as the offensive coordinator with the Pittsburgh Steelers? One of a disciplinarian, or two, more of a player-friendly type coach? Also, there's a couple quarterbacks that are starting to shine down there in Mobile, Alabama at the Senior Bowl. Welcome back to Mic Drop Sports, everybody. Let's talk Steelers, let's talk Senior Bowl, and let's particularly start with Arthur Smith and how he should approach this newfound position here with the Steelers, this rebirth, so-called rebirth of Arthur Smith. After his Atlanta stint as the head coach, now he's back into a more comfortable role as the offensive coordinator where he has had previous success. But if you're Arthur Smith, how do you get a hold of this building in the offensive room? How do you get the attention? How do you captivate them into really look at you as a guy that has the answers? How do you get them to give you that respect? How do you earn that from them? I think if you're Arthur Smith, you have to walk the fine line. You have to really try to be a disciplinarian at times. And I think you have to be the bad guy at times. But I think if you could gain the respect of that locker room's veterans, that offensive group's veterans, I think that you could really make some moves. The wide receiver room, maybe that diva attitude that they have, maybe you could reel that in a little bit and get them on the same page as you if you're Arthur Smith. Encourage that self-study, encourage that self-motivation, and really get guys going on their own and not having to put your thumb over top of them all the time and demand things constantly and really make it a bad environment. We know as adults, if you don't like your job, you hate your job, you're not having fun at your job, it's really difficult to get there and perform at a high level. And that goes into sports more than probably anything. Najee Harris talked about here after the season concluded about a lack of discipline, a lack of self-study. And maybe that's where Arthur Smith needs to really put his attention. More or less not on the game plans and X's and O's, but getting these guys together in his first year, really getting them to play for each other. And I think that that's the biggest thing as Arthur Smith moves into the offensive coordinator role. Mike Tomlin's more of a player-friendly coach. He does at times provide some discipline. He benched Chooks last year, but still, he's more or less a players-type coach. The players love him. So if you're Arthur Smith, I think sometimes you're going to have to play that bad cop role for Mike Tomlin in the offensive side of the room. I think you're going to have to put your foot down sometimes. Get these guys steered on a path that is one of success and one of discipline at times. And I think you need to get a structure in place. Najee spoke of that. No structure. And I think if you're Arthur Smith, you need to hold those offensive team meetings constantly. I think you need to get those guys all in the same room. You heard Jaylen Warren talk about how when they started to really meet together as an offensive unit, as a whole, they started to have success. And I think if you're Arthur Smith, you need to look at those things and build off of those. And I think that that's an important thing, getting those guys inside a room, getting those guys together. And I think that that gets them on the same page. It builds camaraderie instead of pushing them off, sectioning them off into individual skill or individual player rooms, position group rooms. I think that yes, is needed at times. I think you need to go into your position room, but I think you need to be in the majority of the time the offense as a whole, tossing ideas off of each other, making it more of like a think tank inside of that meeting room, making it to where it's structured, it's ran correctly, it's not a free fall, but you're getting guys the opportunity to bounce ideas off of each other. Talk about what they do best. And if you're Arthur Smith, that has got to be the key. You got to be able to get these guys in there, figure out what they do best, and tailor this offense to your personnel. I feel like a lot of coaches at any level get blinded sometimes by their own design and think that they are right and this has to be done in order to be successful. And I think if you're Arthur Smith, you have to realize the personnel grouping that you have and you have to tailor it to them. It's all about the players, and the coach is there just as a vessel, a facilitator, like a quarterback is, a facilitator of the football. And the quarterback guides the team and does things to put his players in the right spots. And that's what you have to do as the offensive coordinator, as a coach in general. You have to just facilitate the talent that you have and put them in the proper positions to be successful, guys. That is the biggest thing. Excuse me, I had an itch on my eye. But if you're Arthur Smith, get the accountability in that room. Get players holding themselves accountable. You heard D.D. King of Kabbalah, a Steeler type insider person that's always really a big Steelers person, really does excellent reporting, really has her ear to the ground, listening to what's going on inside of that building. And she said that maybe Arthur Smith can come in and grab that attention of that diva wide receiver room and get them under wraps and get them into playing for the team instead of playing for their own individual success. And I think players at every level lack this knowledge. Individual success is one thing, but team success breeds individual success. Team success provides you the opportunity to shine as an individual, provides you the opportunity to have exciting things going on around you, which builds up your image as an individual. So I think you really have to focus as a coach on breeding team success and getting guys together as a team and understanding that some weeks you may not be that star. You may not be the star for 2 weeks, but there's going to come a time to where you're called on and you're going to have to contribute and your star will rise and your stock will rise within the NFL. And I think if guys really focused on that, focused on the team first attitude, that their stock would rise and that they would end up making that bag that they want. They would end up getting the respect that they want because team success breeds what? Individual success. And I think even I, as a coach of youth sports, I think I find it hard sometimes to instill that into your young players. And I try to, at a young age, instill that team success is the only thing that matters because that gives you those accolades. That makes you look like a superstar. That gets people talking about you when your team does well. It just makes you look good. And I think people have to really realize that. And that goes for anything. If you're a part of a group, a team, a work team, anything, sports team, individual success comes only with the success of the group. And you can have a couple superstars that put up big numbers, but if the team doesn't win, you're left in the shadows and you're not going to be looked at as one of the all-time greats, one of the all-time best, or one of the best that season. You're just not going to get that look. You're going to get, hey, that's a good player. He's a good guy. On a good team, he would do well maybe. But hey, he's just an average guy. That's not going to get you paid. You got to have that team success, and that's where you see these teams that have success over and over again, like the Chiefs and teams, the Patriots, the Steelers of the past. When those teams had success, those other players branched off. You always had guys that would leave the team each year to go get that big payday after the team's success that they found. And I think that if you're Arthur Smith, I think that's the way you need to go. That's the way you really need to steer the ship. You don't have to be an ultra hard ass all the time. You don't have to be the guy that puts his foot down constantly. You have to just breed, we are a team. This is what we do. And these are the rules, be upfront. These are the rules. You break these rules, I can't help you there. But if you follow what we need to do, follow our structure, follow our plans, you are going to succeed. We are going to have a great relationship. And as a coach, as a leader, as a boss, I don't think you need to be their friend. Your employees, your players, you don't need to be their friend. But you need to be their cheerleader. You need to be their encourager. You need to be a guy that their soundboard, the way that they communicate with the team, the franchise, the organization. You need to be that guy. You need to facilitate a winning environment, and that's your main goal. But again, guys, Arthur Smith doesn't have to come in and be that super hard ass. He doesn't have to come in and have a top 5 offense. He just has to come in and have an average success, average offense, being successful at a good rate, a decent clip. He doesn't have to be that superstar, and I hope he understands that all he has to do is facilitate a winning environment, and you don't need to be the best. You don't need to be getting out of your character. I think you need to just focus on what your players do best and act on that. And if Arthur Smith does that, these are going to be a successful 3 years for Arthur Smith, and I hope that happens, guys. Again, guys, thank you last night for coming to the live show. That was awesome. You guys coming in and out. We had several viewers, super chats, all that stuff. It was really something awesome for our first show back together, Sean and I, after the season had ended. But we are really going to try to hit those live shows up more often. All right, guys, I want to talk a little bit about the Senior Bowl and a couple quarterbacks that are starting to make some waves and really starting to bring the spotlight to them. And that is one, Spencer Rattler, 6'1", 217 pounds, out of South Carolina. This Gamecock used to be an Oklahoma Sooner, had some issues there, transferred out, went to South Carolina, played against some top competition, Georgia, Tennessee, teams of that nature, and he performed well at times. Spencer Rattler's turning some heads down there at the Senior Bowl. And last season, what was his stats? 275 completions to 399 pass attempts, 19 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. He had a decent year, almost a 70% completion rate, 68.9. But Spencer Rattler, I felt like you might know him from his time when he was in Phoenix, Arizona as a high school quarterback, and he was on that show, QB1, I believe it was, something like that, and it showed him with a little bit of an attitude, a little bit of an edge, but maybe he's now got that under control. I've watched some highlights. He looked like he can do some things, get on the move, run the football, do some things like that. He's not afraid to throw it into the middle of the field. He's not afraid to throw it into coverage. He takes some chances, and I think maybe Spencer Rattler might be a guy climbing up the boards and could really make some waves in this year's draft. Let's talk about a guy from the South Alabama Jaguars, a guy that transferred from a school the Steelers like, Toledo. Carter Bradley transferred out. He's 6'3", plays for South Alabama now, 216 pounds, out of Jacksonville, Florida. Last season with the South Alabama Jaguars, he threw 326 passes and completed 221 of those for a 67.8% completion rate, 84 being as long, and 19 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. I watched Carter Bradley play Southern Miss. I watched some highlights from there, watched his game tape from that. And one thing I noticed about Carter Bradley is, and I'm not saying he's Tom Brady, I'm not saying he could ever even be Tom Brady, but the way he looked and stood inside of that pocket, the way he used his tiptoes and stood in there strong, reminded me of Tom Brady's stance, not his play, just his stance. That's what it reminded me of. The way he moved around inside the pocket. A guy that's slow, a guy that's lanky. So I just thought he resembled him in appearance, not in play. Carter Bradley, though, didn't play bad, and he's starting to turn some heads down there at Senior Bowl, just like Spencer Rattler, and I think things are starting to take off. He's also climbing up that leaderboard, but when you play for these smaller schools as a quarterback, sometimes it's hard to break into that upper echelons of quarterbacks in the draft. So maybe, this is the question, this is the reason I bring up these two quarterbacks. Do the Steelers now have the ability to watch one of these guys that are turning some heads? Maybe they fall down into the middle rounds. And if you're the Steelers and you're a fan of the Steelers, would you like to see them go out and get one of these guys in the draft? A Spencer Rattler, a Carter Bradley, similar players to that, and take a chance on them? What if the Steelers can't re-sign Mason Rudolph? What if they don't get a free agent quarterback to provide that competition for Kenny Pickett? Do you think the Steelers need to draft one of these guys, a more solid guy, not just wait to the 7th round and try to pick up some quarterback out of wherever, but try to get the guy that's going to be able to come in young, fired up, and give Kenny some real competition? Do you think that that's a good path for the Pittsburgh Steelers to take? And do you think that they should use draft capital on it? I won't say waste draft capital, because I don't think you're wasting it, but use some of your draft capital in order to try to bring in competition for Kenny Pickett if you're not able to bring back some of these other guys. It's going to be a big thing for the Steelers, and I just wanted to bring up these two guys that are starting to turn some eyes or turn some heads, wow some coaches, and I think maybe they could really make some moves in this year's draft and move up the draft boards or be able to be a quality pick in the mid to late rounds. You never know how this goes, and I'm not sure where their projections are right now. I didn't get that far into them. It's the Senior Bowl, so I'm just trying to brainstorm here a little bit. So let me know what you guys think about the Steelers possibly drafting a quarterback in the mid rounds. Or maybe even in the first round. What if one of these guys fall to 20 and they are a first round grade? Do you go out and get one of them, or do you think there's other pressing needs? Center, tackle, inside linebacker, safety, cornerback. The Steelers got some needs, guys, and hopefully Omar Khan is able to do some magic and really provide some help for the Steelers team next year in 2024. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up, but today's show has been awesome. I enjoy talking with you guys every day. We're going to try to do more and more live shows, like I said, each week, and build that up as we march toward the 2024 season. We are going to have a draft night spectacular. Look out for Sean and I as we dissect the whole first round of the NFL draft live here for you guys to comment, all that kind of stuff. We will have a great night. It'll be fun. We'll do some special things. Hopefully, maybe we can bring on some special guests, maybe some call-ins or something like that, and talk sports, talk Steelers, talk NFL draft. So we're going to do that kind of stuff. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you made it this far, you evidently liked it. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, hit that like button for me. That really helps us. And also share the shit out of the content as we here at Mike Drop Sports try to become a powerhouse here on YouTube. We want to hit some big numbers here soon and grow this channel before next season so we have a real presence next season inside of the Steelers kingdom of news media outlet type things. So we want to hit that big goal, those big numbers, and really make our presence felt here and breed a practical channel, a channel that talks about the issues that you want to talk about, talks about real things, and we don't sugarcoat it here. We're not trying to please anybody. We have no ties to the Steelers here. We don't have to watch what we say. So things are real here in a more common way for the common person, the common fan, and that's exactly what I am, a common person, a common fan. So come and join us here and allow us to build this thing up together and get rid of this big box media bullshit that pollutes our airways and pollutes our thought processes whenever we're trying to look at our favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and across the NFL at all teams. So until next time, I'm Jason. This is Mike Drop Sports. Peace.